What happens when the two strongest characters that are pretty much treated like gods fight each other? Not for the sake for their universe or any moral compass reason that they might possess, but to see who among the others truly the stronger. No, the strongest that there ever was. And they are not the MC. They're not protected by plot armor. We don't have to subconsciously root for their victory because of MC plot armor bullshit. And they're too godly for anyone to ever interfere. And no one actually really does interfere in this fight, making it the perfect battle in anime history. Any anime battle these two may have ever been in, they virtually left the battlefield unharmed and uncontested. It was a complete stomp, and it was the perfect picture dictionary example of someone being bullied. And we're putting two of these guys in a battle? Of course the internet is going to lose their fucking shit. In this anime, we're talking about Sukuna versus Gojo, and the fact that this took place in Shinjuku and literally left the place like a fucking battlefield. And we're going to be talking about everything that happened before, during, and after the fight and how it left its mark on the fandom, many people's heart, and somewhat dreams for you obsessed ones. Whether this was foreshadowed or not by the author in some of the earlier chapters is irrelevant, because at the end of the day, we knew at the back of our heads that either Sukuna or Gojo would have to face each other at the end of the day. The moment Gojo was freed and Sukuna ate all of his fingers, this battle was being hyped like a WWE match. Both the players were at their peak strength, and they literally set up a date of when they were going to make out with each other.
What did he say?
And last but not least, everybody is too weak to interfere with this battle, because whoever's side they're supporting will either get off-screen eliminated, or they'll become a hindrance to the supporting side. You know it's bad when the main character is being benched for an important decision like this, and we're all too familiar with that with you. Now, in the blue corner, we have anime Jesus, Satoru Gojo. With 6 eyes, divergence, and convergence from the limitless curse technique, this guy basically taped on infinity plus 2 energy, and is cruising through life in autocomplete mode. And it's so basically boring, like a complete snorefest in tension whenever this guy is around. No matter how good you get in jujitsu, or how close you may ever get to him in power, it'll never be good enough for Gojo. There will always be an infinity of a distance between the two of you when it comes to power. Nanami basically said, if you want to succeed as a sorcerer, don't compare yourself to Gojo. He's quite literally built different. And in the red corner, we have Ryomen Sukuna, the king of all curses and the strongest that there ever was. My man is basically a walking calamity, a natural disaster. Whenever he's around, he's making the situation a whole lot worse for whoever's side he chooses to oppose. This guy doesn't fucking discriminate who he fights. He'll kill you all the same, and he'll specifically choose to fight the strongest, good or bad in any situation that he's presented. He will fuck you up all the same. The only exception to this rule when he's saving Megumin or torturing Yuji, as anyone should. Any curse or sorcerer that inconvenience him is quite literally treated as his new toy until they break. Yuji, being Sukuna's container for no understandable reason, is being tortured for the sake of this bullshit contrivance. He knows he's a good little boy, so Sukuna decides to slaughter 30,000 people's lives in Japan who are taking refuge just because. Dude turned a part of Japan into a glass bowl, kind of like when Nappa flipped his wrist.
So are you guys aliens?
I hate awkward silences.
Dude didn't even need to do that while he was defeating plot armor. My man went up and beyond, not only to defeat his opponent, but was also enjoying it too, which also causes massive amount of destruction, not only to the city, but also people's lives. Still love the fact that this dude was treated like an absolute fucking dark prophecy that should never come true. The 20 fingers of Sukuna should never be reunited. Otherwise, the terror he will bestow will be like unlike anything we ever saw. Something straight out of a magic book, and I love the whole shtick. Of course, he eventually ate every single one of his finger from his previous body, with exception to one, but that was replaced with some head, so it really doesn't matter. Now, both Gojo and Sukuna's powers and strengths are so revered as the strongest. You're either making contagion or anti-contagion plans, and you're trying to plan for the revival of the other character for your plans to either become a success or a failure. That's how broken these two are. And you're telling me you're pitting two of these guys in a no-holds-barred battle with everything on the line. Of course, the whole internet loses their shit. These guys fit the stereotype of being the strongest in the series, respectively. The other characters are making plans left and right to suppress them from either joining the battle or recruiting them on their side. Whether you like it or not, everything has been building up to this. And everything after that, the day has finally come. The real tragedy is that before this fight, they were too strong to be challenged by anyone ever again. There's the argument for my man Toji being an opposition. He's dead now, so it doesn't matter. We're about to see Anime Jesus and Anime Devil fight each other on a one-on-one battle. And thank God there was no interference until after the conclusion, even from Possessed Ghetto, which made this peak JJK fight ever. They're both about to resolve their tragedy of not being contested for being too strong, and they finally get to see who gets to have the title of being the strongest in their verse. And so, the fight finally begins. Gojo attempts to one-shot his opponent, but obviously Sukuna, being the strongest that he is, survives it. And now they're just pretty much feeling out the environment and feeling each other out. Probably destroying the whole fucking city in their wake. Of course, after chilling for a little while, the real battle starts when they come out full-on swinging, not holding anything back. The best part I have to say about this whole show is that neither one holds back and they're both going for the kill. Each one ready to take the other's life out. They're spamming domain expansion constantly and without fail. And of course, this is amazing because they both have high energy reserves of cursed energy. And of course, they both can do it like infinity amount of times. So why wouldn't they do this? At this point, you should know what a domain expansion is, but it's basically peak power of Jujutsu Sorcerer. Whoever wins in this tug-of-war battle is the superior one. Of course, these two fuckers, it somehow ties this absolute shit. Of course, to change the taste of the viewer, including the ones watching in the verse, they change up the domains to make it interesting for the viewer to watch. I'm saying this jokingly because they keep rewriting the rules of fighting in their verse because they're at peak strength, which is absolutely something they would do being the literal top. And of course, when one of their domain expansions fails, the other one doesn't chicken out and they take it head on. Of course, Gojo makes a run for it and then he gets suckered right back into it, and his only option was to get rid of the domain altogether. To a certain extent, I would say this is the equivalent of Gojo preemptively shooting Sukuna with a 200% hollow purple. So Gojo surviving Sukuna's malevolent shine at its peak is the same situation. It's the same thing the other way around. This is right now proving that there's nothing in their current arsenal that can take the other out properly. That's just how bloody strong they are. This also means whoever's going to win has to build off on everything we already know, and then some. There's going to be some big brain play or some genius level tactic strategy play that will have to win them this battle. And so this constant back and forth show begins to unfold this whole battle. They're both using their powers to their absolute fullest and being super creative about it. Of course, Sukuna using fewer slashes, but more than makes up for it with domain expansion. Basically gut punch Gojo. Even after all of this, they're both smiling while punching and even while getting punched. That's how much they're enjoying this battle. You're smiling like children on Christmas getting the perfect present from Santa. Of course, a little bit of a timer gets started when Gojo is allowed to beat Sukuna. And I have to mention this now. People were railing on Sukuna, calling him the fraud one or a failure because he was losing to Gojo because Sukuna had both Megumin's power, his own domain expansion, and was still losing. And for this reason, I believe people didn't think he actually fit the stereotype of being the strongest that everyone wanted him to be. Not that it mattered, since victory matters to whoever won is all the same. And he's also an evil motherfucker. Of course he would be doing this kind of shit. Enough of that side tangent. Interestingly enough, the battle continues and rages on. Mahoraga is still stored in Sukuna's pocket like a Pokemon and ready to attack the fucking child instead of the other fucking Pokemon, like this is JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. It only attacks when it's fully adapted to Gojo, and out of nowhere, Gojo just black flashed Sukuna the fuck out. At the last second, the wheel turns and Mahoraga comes out on his own, fucking gutting Gojo like an NPC in GTA 5 who is hired to mug you. Now, the thoughts of either losing on either side becomes a real possibility to them, And these guys are getting fucking hyped as they no longer have to fear the loneliness that came with absolute strength. And for a little while now, they can enjoy looking forward to the satisfying finish they call victory. Sukuna preventing Mahoraga from being taken out because in the late game, he's basically a trump card, but I love the fact that these two are so strong right now that he's absolutely fucking useless. Sukuna summons another demon that is a fusion that we have never seen before, and all of them proceed to jump Gojo. However, they can't properly deliver a blow on my guy, and it fucking turns into a reverse fucking jumping. You gotta love this shit, because out of nowhere, Mahoraga fucking slashes Gojo's arm off from a distance, and we didn't even catch it in hindsight as the audience as some sort of like big brain foreshadowing. While it took out a whole fucking building. Everybody's panicking now, except for Sukuna, who found his ace in the hole. And then everybody proceeds to get back on jumping Gojo. And Gojo basically proves the whole point of this video. If you're too weak to participate in this battle, you'll basically be off-screened for being weak, so stop being so weak. Outside of the domain expansions, this is the first time Gojo has been viciously crippled. And my man is recovering his arm and starts laughing like a maniac, while my man Sukuna is just freaking out internally. Mahoraga still hasn't even adapted to red yet, and Sukuna's whole plan is to make sure he properly does. And while this is all going on, I have to mention this. Gojo suckered punch and is still bullying Mahoraga, who already adapted to Gojo's powers and is still being treated like a fucking joke. Like when Sukuna fought him. We're in the endgame now, baby. The characters have to use something that's already been pre-established in the series and get creative with their powers in order to defeat their foe, because their domain expansions and external buffs alone were not enough to finish the other off. Sukuna's plan was clear. Stop Gojo from whatever the hell he's doing and win on time. And then Gojo, out of fucking nowhere, enchanted his already activated blue to an even stronger state to prevent the red from being affected from before. And as a casual result of activating this specific purple, it just nukes the whole town as a side effect. After all of this ends, Sukuna finds a way to survive all of this, but can't at all from all of these wounds, as it's believed he has used too much cursed energy and can't do anything about it anymore. And of course, it all ends with Gojo being too cocky and him getting hit by the world-famous world-cutting slash from Sukuna, defeating Gojo through his infinity. And now I have to give props to the author for making it something Sukuna actually did, and not Mahoraga, and just needed an example to know how. And I'm glad the battle happened and it turned out this way. With that being said, I'm not surprised the author is hyping up Sukuna to the point of which he could beat Gojo without Megumin's 10 shadow technique. But we'll have to see about that. When reading this part of the manga, I genuinely forgot the stakes of the battle from time to time, and I was just too engrossed in reading this battle's outcome. Even while writing the script, I caught myself rereading the manga over and over again, still surprised that I was enjoying it each time that I read it. I was just thinking back to myself. We have seen this time and time again. What makes this so special? In Hunter x Hunter, Neturo, the chairman of Hunters, faced off against the Ant King. In Dragon Ball Z, Gohan faced Cell. In Naruto Shippuden, Hashirama vs. Madara. There's just countless examples of this happening over and over again in anime. But for some reason, this one felt different. This one felt special. It felt different in a very good reason, and I couldn't put my finger as to why. Unlike many before them, these characters were different. I mean very different. And I think I know the reason why. Both Gojo and Sukuna were invested in their fight more so than anyone else thought they were, and for any other moral compass reason you could ever come up with, and this was for the best. Realistically speaking, if I asked you if Gojo was a good guy, it would be very hard to give you a factual answer. He's not your standout superhero, but I guess he's a good guy. He's at least better than Sukuna. And if I were to ask you if Sukuna was truly an evil guy, I think you would have to watch my last video to figure that one out. But honestly, during the battle, I don't think any of this mattered. They were both enjoying this battle far more than anything else. Literally, the setup wasn't even for moral reasons. Even the author didn't put too much stress into this. Both characters have gone uncontested in any battle that they have been in. And for the first time in their lives, they are fighting for real. And they both enjoyed this fight, and they actually wanted to fight each other. Because any other fight that they had been in previously didn't even come close to this level of intensity and in struggle. Even the battle Sukuna had with Mahoraga, Sukuna always had an ace up his sleeve that he could use whenever he wanted to. And there was a clear-cut way how he could win with Mahoraga. But the same couldn't be said with his battle against Gojo. And that was the exciting part. Who was going to win and how? Because the answer wasn't clear. Bro, these guys were smiling so much and stressing and laughing, they were going through the 5 stages of grief while this battle was happening. We knew neither one was going to hold back when killing the other, and so somebody was going to walk out of this as the winner, and somebody was going to walk out of this as the loser, as the dead one. So when the outcome truly came and the fight came to an end, like all good things, it finished too early. And I think we have to give credit to the author, as he foreshadowed his ending for major beats, but he didn't make it too obvious. But he leaves just enough in there so people can figure it out. Because I just caught, for the first time, while researching for this thing, Sukuna's whole plan for defeating Gojo. It was simple, it was straightforward, and I guess we never saw it coming. Thanks for watching.